So it's been over 2 months since Israel launched its campaign of relentless bombing of the Gaza Strip. And Hamas has said that the death toll of the people who have been killed in this campaign of Israeli bombings has now risen to over 18,700. A majority of them are said to be women and children. The big question, of course, is when will this war end? And if Israeli defense minister is to be believed, then it is likely to take several months to come. The United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan arrived in the war-struck nation. He, of course, arrived in Israel at a time when Israel is finding itself increasingly isolated in international politics. There are calls for exercising restraint that are being echoing louder as the humanitarian situation is getting worse in the Gaza Strip. Jake Sullivan is on a 2-day visit to Israel. The timeline of the Israel-Hamas war and the future of Gaza is what is on the agenda. The Israeli defense minister reportedly has said that it will take several months for this war to end.
The Hamas is a terror organization that built itself for a decade to fight Israel. And they build infrastructure under the ground and on the ground. And it is not easy to destroy them. It will take and require a long period of time. It will last more than several months. But we will win and we will destroy them. So thank you once again for coming to Israel, for helping us, and for supporting us.
The leaders have also discussed about the need for the Israelis to return to their home after they were evacuated from the northern border with Lebanon. The leaders are also expected to discuss the next phase of the war. And this comes a day after the Israelis reported their heaviest losses on the battlefield. Israel has said that 10 of its soldiers were in fact killed in the last 24 hours. Currently, the fighting is underway both in the north and also in South Gaza. And despite Washington supporting Israel, there is a clear rift that seems to be growing with regards to the future of Gaza. The American president earlier remarked that due to Israel's indiscriminate campaign of bombing the Gaza Strip, Israel is losing support from the international community, and that the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu should in fact change his tactics. While the wartime president has said that Israel would fight on despite the international pressure.
ואני אומר את זה גם נוכח הכאב הגדול, אבל גם מול הלחצים הבינלאומיים. שום דבר לא יעצור אותנו. אנחנו הולכים עד הסוף, עד הניצחון. לא פחות מזה. ואני מודה לכם. אנחנו עושים את זה בזכותכם, באמצעותכם, בעזרת השם ובעזרתכם. תודה רבה לכם.
The Biden has also added that Israel can't say no to a Palestinian state. Israel, however, has explicitly rejected any idea of a Palestinian state, while the United States favors the idea of a Palestinian authority returning to govern Gaza after the war is over. The United States earlier said that there remains a clear gap between what Israel intends to do and what the results that it is producing on the ground. Now, according to reports, the United States has delayed the delivery of about 20,000 M16 rifles, and reports in fact highlight the reason could in fact be the rising attacks by extremist illegal Israeli settlers against the Palestinian civilians in the West Bank. This is a place where there is no Hamas. The situation in the Gaza Strip is very dire. Since the Israel-Hamas war started, thousands of people have been killed, while at least 50,000 Palestinians have been grievously injured or have been maimed in this conflict. 1.8 million Palestinians have in fact been driven out of their homes. Hospitals in the north have largely stopped functioning, while in the south they have been overwhelmed with patients. Israel says it has been encouraging aid into the Gaza Strip, while the United Nations has said that aid delivery has virtually been completely hampered due to the continuous strikes. And we earlier spoke with Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, who is a military expert and also a host of the Daniel Davis Deep Dive. Listen to what he has to say.
Poll numbers that you cited just a moment ago is pretty sobering information and really confirms what many people here in the United States and apparently in the administration has been saying. You can't kill your way to peace in this situation. You can't just say we're going to kill all the Hamas fighters and then we're going to have peace, because you see there's been such a massive destruction of the ability of the Palestinians to even live after this is over, on top of the scores of thousands that have been killed and tens of thousands more that have been wounded. All that does is breed more contempt for Israel and more hatred. And when you see both in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank, actually a higher percentage of people in the West Bank in that same poll said that they believed that Hamas was right on October 7th because of all the carnage that they have seen. So Israel is going backwards in terms of creating a possibility of peace for its people by this indiscriminate killing of people in pursuit of Hamas. But I'll tell you one other thing. Even tactically speaking, there's almost no way that Israel can accomplish its goals of destroying Hamas and killing everybody, because how do they even know who Hamas is? I mean, unless you have a roster, they don't wear uniforms. And how do you distinguish a Hamas terrorist from just an angry Palestinian man who's upset that his family got killed or something? And you see that you're just going to create more and more. I've seen it with my own eyes in combat. And if they don't change something, they're not going to attain their political outcome, and they're going to create more strife for the future.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.